Wow.
You're going to like this.
Oh, no, I'm not. Because there is no goddamn middle.
This is not unlike ancient Rome, by the way.
Not so much the family circus. Yeah. Yeah, when I did Mary Shelley, I had the same issue with necromancy.
A lot of them wanted to create self-sustaining farms and got into crystals.
I know.
Okay.
I understand that.
But yeah, I'm reading Livy, who is a shitty historian.
Because Eerie Gygax.
Others say that because Laurentia's body was common to all the shepherds around, she was called a she-wolf, which is a Latin term for whore. You were audible last season. It just, most of it was you slamming the table.
As the Romanists at the table. Well, duh.
Yeah.
Obviously, ipso facto.
Right.
You know, to engage in a little of my
Ipso
own dog
facto.
Latin.
You have a sword rack.
Of Time,
where we connect nerdery to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history and remedial reading teacher here in Northern California, and I am currently trying to figure out how I can make distance learning not only work, but try to make use of the medium in what I'm teaching. And every idea I come up with, unfortunately, runs into the problem that I have no budget and no set design staff. So all of my elaborate plans for, man on the street interviews with, Roman slaves is just not getting off the ground right now because video is the thing, killed the radio star, as it were. So how about you?
I'm Damian Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher up here in Northern California, doing all the distance learning that I can, which means roughly 30% of what I would have done in person. And I have come to a very interesting Zen place about it all. I have been practicing the art of letting go. A couple weeks ago, the world caught on fire. So if we want to date this, you can do that. All of California was ablaze. The fires even got close enough to us that we and some of our friends made a go bag. And then that made it so that the kids couldn't get their textbooks because you have to go outside to get those. So that put my curriculum behind by about a week and a half. No big deal. I can handle that. It's not a problem. So we got the distance learning. Got it. We got the textbook issue. Okay, we can make this work. We can make this go.
Yeah. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Absolutely. And then I come to find out that some kids didn't get their textbooks. Period. Like when we finally did the whole thing of letting them out, I was like, okay, well, people need to be able to go home. I'm not going to tell people to stay at work when I'm not there, and I'm a big believer that you don't do wage theft. For the sake of the kids. So, okay, you'll get your books eventually.
Why do you hate the children?
Well, because they're impermanent. Adults are much more permanent. I figure it's a better investment.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But because in the future, when the children grow up, what are they going to be?
That's a good point.
Adults, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I can handle that. All right, cool. Then I've come to find out that our school literally ran out of books for my students, which we had 9 months or 6 months to plan this and do body counts and head counts and all kinds of other counts. Okay, that's troublesome. Let me breathe a little. And then I got to realizing, wait, textbooks. You mean that account that the district perpetually puts $35 million into because they, quote, just park it there until they figure out what to do with the money? I have an idea. Maybe.
How about buy some fucking books?
Maybe you could buy some textbooks. And I was told that, we used to have more, but a lot of them have been torn, ripped, and stuff like that. And it's like, well, they are 15 years old. How about
more?
Yeah. And that's just the Latin books. The history books, I taught world history last year out of the same textbook that I taught as a student teacher.
Yeah.
So it's all kinds of, wow, that's garbage. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to pitch a fit, but okay. We can do this. I will take pictures and send them to the kids and whatnot, and then on top of all that, a construction crew cut through the main fiber optic cable that provides internet to my side of the river.
Yeah.
So I'm practicing letting go, because otherwise I'm going to strangle somebody. So
and
that's,
there are so many candidates.
yeah, and it's one of those, like, could we have just compressed these, like make them all happen in the same week? Like, the best day of the year to clean your attic is already the hottest day of the year, because you're already going to be sweaty. Might as well. Why are we stacking these things so that my kids are stutter stepping through
That's
not
a
learning language?
mind-blowing logical statement.
Yeah. So,
Like, wait.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. All right. I feel a lot less bad about running cable through my godmother's attic in the middle of August several years ago now.
It was already
You're
miserable.
right. Okay, there you go. It's already going to be a miserable kind of thing. So there you go. That makes sense. So if it makes you feel any better, I mean, it might not, but in the interest of sharing sympathies, pain shared is lessened. So in my district, specifically in my quote unquote classroom, I'm teaching, one of the classes I'm teaching this year is a very specific remedial reading program.
Okay.
And it has a very critical, very, very high tech, very, 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 very fancy, very tailored online component.
Okay.
And it would have had this whether we were in distance learning or not. This is a core part of how this program works, because the kids cycle over the course of a block period. The kids cycle from whole class work to small group work to independent work on their Chromebook to independent reading.
All right.
Okay. And then the kids in three of those stations, they're rotating. So one group for 20 minutes, one group is on their Chromebooks, one group is with me in a small group, and the third group is reading independently. And after 20 minutes, they switch out. So all of them get some time with me, all of them get time working independently on the computer, and all of them get time every class period reading independently. And it's to exercise those neurons and build the skills and spend the time doing that.
In theory, it sounds great.
Yes. Here's the thing. So I got trained on this the week before instruction was supposed to start. And, here's how we're going to modify this for distance learning. Okay, that's going to be wonky, but I can make that work. Okay. And then first day of school arrives. I don't have access to the electronic part of the curriculum. None of the kids have access to the electronic part of the curriculum because it's a proprietary website run by the publisher. And every time they try to port my roster into the system, it fails. And this is not just me. This is every teacher doing this program at every grade level from grade 6 up through high school in our district. And it took them 3 weeks to figure out how to fix it.
And see, that's what people outside of education don't understand, is that 100% chips away at the credibility of this program. And you've already got kids who are not necessarily invested. And so then you make goddamn certain that every step along the way is a perfectly stable step. And to not do that, you kind of might as well just throw out the year and start over next year.
Yeah.
For all the good it's going to do.
Yeah. And then in the first full week of instruction that we had, the second full week of instruction we had to do map testing, which for those of you not in our immediate local listener area, well, actually, this is shit. It's for you too, because this is a district thing. Our map testing, on top of state testing, our district gives the kids a standardized test, electronic computer-based test in English, English language arts, reading comprehension, and math
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the year and the end of the year to judge, growth and
Sure.
to see, how much have they lost since last year at the beginning of the year, and how much progress are they making in January. So on top of not having the electronic curriculum, then every teacher in my district had to figure out how to do a standardized test
At a distance.
over distance learning when the state government has said we're not requiring you to do the standardized testing this year. We're not having to do any of the CASP testing. We're not having to do any of that other stuff. But the district said, no, we're testing them. Never mind the fact that there was a significant cohort of parents who were like, fuck what?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yep.
Never mind the fact that they got told by like literally every teacher in the district, you understand our scores are going to be shit, right?
Right.
So guess what?
So your math
Our
testing.
scores are shit.
Yeah, as it turns out.
Yeah. Our scores are shit, and now my principal is all over us. I'm like, no, this could turn into a 2-hour bitch session just about everything we're having to deal with work. But this is a difficult situation for everybody, and I have a lot of empathy, and I have a lot of I feel very, very much for all of the parents who are on the other end of this equation, and my heart breaks for the kids.
I have not talked
it's a shitty situation.
I have not talked to a single parent who is not the type to kick kids out of a park for playing soccer during her kid's birthday party. I have not talked to a single parent that's not that type, who has said, yes, I want my child to have robust distance learning this year. Every single parent I've talked to has been, something's got to give because my kid shouldn't be sobbing at noon.
Yeah, no shit.
And every parent is saying, this is too goddamn much. This is ridiculous. And it's...
Well, your district, the amount of hours your district demanded was just like stupid. Like I'm teaching on a daily basis for distance learning. I'm teaching from 9 a.m. to 1.
That's too much.
Hours. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
We've got there's breaks in the middle of that, but
still too much.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong
especially
at all.
when you get to diminishing returns. Like just you can do. Here's the thing, and for everyone else, just fast forward to 20 minutes. I swear we're going to start talking about Batman then.
At some point.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I realized. I am not working after 3:20 any single day. Now, some of it is because I did so much work over the summer recording content, and I added it up. I did about 100 hours of free work. And if you stretch 100 hours of free work over 183 days, that's roughly 45 minutes after school every day. You know what? I'm okay working for free for 45 minutes after school every day. That's kind of a teacher's thing, but no more than that. And I ain't taking work home anymore. That's when we get back to brick and mortar. So as it stands right now, I am only working when I'm getting paid because I don't have a home to go home to from work.
Yeah.
So I'm very much doing that. And what I realized was that our district, and I think this is true of every district, is built on the back of stolen wages, of stolen labor.
All are.
Like how many
shit.
hours?
Yeah.
How many hours did I give them per week that weren't theirs, where I subsidized them with my time and my health? And that's the one of the few silver linings to the COVID is that I've realized, nobody's stealing my time anymore, and I'm encouraging other teachers to do the same. And here's why: they're not going to pay extra life insurance to my kids if I stroke out early. No, they're not. They're going to pocket that money So I need to start taking my time back, which means I need to actually reconfigure how I teach my classes, because if I'm not going to grade that work, I damn sure have no business assigning that work. So now I'm having to kind of really recalibrate, like, what is the core of what I'm trying to do here, and how can I get it in the time that I've got?
That makes sense.
It's been really eye-opening and really nice, actually.
Yeah,
To
I
think
can
of
believe
it
that.
in those lines. But ultimately, it's wage theft, like straight up
Well,
wage theft.
okay. So what's anytime we have a disagreement with management, what's one of the first things we wind up doing? We say, all right, everybody work to rule.
Mm-hmm.
Leave campus, like seriously, leave campus 3:45 for my district, anyway, my site.
Mm-hmm.
Leave campus 3:45. Don't show up on campus before 8:30.
Right.
And
Which
that's
is
it.
normal for every other profession. Like when my ex-wife would call me and say, "Hey, I'm charting," she was getting paid for that time.
Yeah.
With me, it's like
we don't get overtime.
No.
We never get overtime. And on top of that, my contract, and I'm pretty sure yours too, has this built-in expectation of, and now the term has slipped my mind, but there's a certain number of hours per year that I'm expected, and it's not like a hard and fast requirement, but it's like you should put in 14 hours of time,
right?
Helping out with monitoring dances, or helping out with being present as a chaperone for these events, or doing this, that, and the other thing. And like when a staff meeting runs long, if it goes over more than 15 minutes, you get an additional half hour of this time counted for that. So you've done that time. And so our staff meeting ran long beginning of this month. And my principal said, "Yeah, it's all right. I'll give all you guys whatever time." and I wanted to reach through the monitor. I literally, like, I was so glad my mic and my camera were both off. because I wanted to. It gave me the opportunity to literally growl. Because I wanted to reach through that. I wanted to reach through my phone and strangle him. Like, what good is that going to do me right now? Like, you are literally stealing time from my wife and my son, who just got home.
Yep.
And instead of me being able to now turn around and have my time with them in my home,
right,
I have to. You are literally holding me hostage.
And them. Because now I have to modify their behavior to deal with the fact that you are not letting me go.
I did get a little bit of kind of petty revenge because at one point, as a union rep, he called on me to say something. And when I did, my son came toddling into the kitchen to ask me for something. And I said to him, no, not right now. Not right now, baby. No, I'm sorry. Daddy's in a meeting right now. Daddy can't talk to you right now. What I wanted to say was, and Daddy's being held against his will in a meeting that ran long. But I didn't. Next time I will.
Yeah.
I've also determined that the next time I'm in a staff meeting that he allows to run long, I'm going to turn my camera on, and I'm going to go to my liquor cabinet, and I'm going to pour myself a drink.
Good.
On camera.
Good.
And if he says anything, I'm going to go, oh, I'm sorry. We're after contract time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that my camera was on. Bye-bye. Yep. And then I'm going to leave.
Good.
Fuck that. I'm done.
You know what? Cheers before you do. Sláinte.
Yes. Sláinte.
All right. Yeah. So we're getting close to the 20-minute mark. I want to get on to Batman. We decided we were going to tackle Batman because we're both such DC heads.
Wait. No. Hold on.
Yeah, but Batman is significant. He is a centerpiece to our culture in so many ways. And it stretches back. Batman is only 50 years older than the Eiffel Tower.
Wait. Older than the Eiffel? No.
Younger. Sorry.
Younger.
1930.
Yeah, no.
Whatever is.
1939.
Yeah, it's 39. A bigger number than the 1889.
So he's 50 years younger than the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the distance from the beginning of Batman to the Eiffel Tower is greater than the distance of the beginning of Batman to now. Or is lesser than.
Is less than.
Yeah, I'm really blowing it with the numbers tonight.
Well, neither one of us is a math teacher. Let's
for good reason. I think
we're
proving that.
Yeah. I think. Well, one of us anyway isn't particularly qualified. Okay, who am I kidding? I'm totally not qualified either.
Yeah.
But
so yes, Batman is 50 years younger than the Eiffel Tower. That's
there
a fact.
You go.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. He's a centerpiece of our, as you say, he's a central figure in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
He truly has become a modern myth. And we fiddled around with that in the episode we did talking about DC heroes as mythic characters versus Marvel characters as mythic characters. And my thesis actually came about thinking about Batman and Superman as a diptych, as a pair.
Mm-hmm.
With Supes being so clearly Apollo, and Batman so very clearly being Hades,
right?
And that light and dark duology, and he really has become both of them. But right now we're talking about Batman. Really has become our modern version of that, because when you think about it, there are multiple different versions of his backstory. The first several years of his career as a crime fighter has been revisited multiple times with really meaningful differences.
Sure.
In the way it's been portrayed, in the events, like the very details of how it was that his parents died. Originally in let's see here. The original, I've got it here in my notes. His original backstory got revealed in Detective Comics number 33 in November of 39.
Okay.
And that's the first time that we learned that his parents were shot in Crime Alley by a mugger. And we don't get the mugger's name,
right,
for several years, until 48. As a matter of fact, it's not for almost a decade.
Wow.
That we actually find out who that mugger was. The original story is just, he's this random, street thief. But in the original version of the story, young Bruce Wayne has the killer's face etched in his memory.
Oh, okay.
And then in 1948, he runs into the killer. And I'm going to get into some of the important details about that, but that's the first time we learn the name Joe Chill. And so that's 48. Well, now since then, Joe Chill has stuck around as a character, but there have been versions of the story,
right,
in which he didn't see Joe Chill's face, and we don't know who Joe Chill turned out to be or anything like that. There have been stories.
At one point, he's hiding in a kid's house, pretending to be his beagle, sleeping on top of the dog house, befriending a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Snoopy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Batman had the
Yeah.
Rogues Gallery. Joe Chill had an alias, Joe Cool, and the Peanut Gallery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're kind of off your game a little bit, I think, tonight.
How so?
I don't know. That's that one that didn't have your usual like.
No. Okay. All right.
I feel like you're having to work a little harder.
Okay.
Tonight, but we'll see. I'm sure you'll get into your groove.
Yeah, we'll see.
Damn it. So yeah, no, he is this mythic figure. We don't have the same kind of folklore in the modern world for a variety. I mean, we could get all pointy-headed about why not. That people did back in the pre-industrial era. And so what we do have are comic book heroes, and Batman is one of the classic archetypes.
Yes.
I mean, you can look across series, you can look across publishers, and you can find that everybody has done a Batman. You know, like even even within DC, there
Mm-hmm.
are people who argue that Green Arrow is, kind of a poor man's Batman XP.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then, the immediate other example that comes to mind is the Midnighter, who it's there's and I'm trying to remember the name of the series the Midnighter comes from. I'm gonna have to look it up, but I want to say it's Image Comics.
Okay. Is
Has
he
a
the one?
series in.
He's the one that
Go
has like the really long soliloquies. And he like kind of Columbos people into submission, by rambling. He's the Midnighter Rambler.
Okay, all right, you're getting there.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Don't call me Stella yet. I haven't got my groove back yet. But
Okay. Okay. Wildstorm Comics
okay.
has Midnighter. Later became a DC character after DC absorbed Wildstorm,
Mm-hmm.
and created by Warren Ellis. And so Midnighter is kind of what you get if Batman is a little bit less wealthy and a lot grimmer in the comics. Um, and written by Warren Ellis. I think it's important to note, written by Warren Ellis, the guy who gave us The Boys, is.
Oh, okay.
So there's a certain level of deconstruction involved in the Midnighter's character, but the idea of the millionaire tech gadget hero, it could be argued that Black Panther
Mm-hmm.
is in some ways kind of in a similar archetype, though with different
Okay.
tropes attached.
Sure.
Iron Man
Oh, he's alcoholic
is
Batman.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
If Bruce Wayne actually developed a drinking problem
And a
like,
smile.
there you go.
Like,
Yeah. If Batman learned how to have any goddamn fun, he'd be
okay,
Tony
so
Stark.
Batman is Batman, and Bruce Wayne is kind of his alter ego, and so he plays being a playboy. Tony Stark
Yeah.
is a playboy who plays being a hero.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're an inversion of one another.
yeah,
And so the thing is, Batman is the one that all of those characters are in some way bouncing off of or building off of.
yes,
And so Batman truly is the archetype, just like Superman really is the archetype. Think of all the characters who are kind of Superman XPs. Siegel and Schuster were the first ones to put that idea out there. The bulletproof man who can run faster than a speeding bullet.
mm-hmm.
Soups is the first. And if you're talking about super normal superheroes, Batman is the first. Well, except he's not. And part of the genesis of Batman, you have to think a little bit about the pulp novels that came before comic books.
Okay,
Batman is the archetype that we recognize, but it's important to know that his many of his traits also are predated by Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze.
now that is a name I've heard.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so Doc Savage is kind of in some ways the superhero. And he is the ultimate competent man archetype. Okay.
okay,
By which I mean he knows a lot about everything and is good at everything. And in the case of Doc Savage, he is superlatively good at everything. He's a genius. He's, an Olympic level athlete. He's a martial artist. He's a world explorer. He's all these things. And he also, when the occasion arises, he's also a deducer,
mm-hmm.
on par with Sherlock Holmes.
Okay,
And so to take from the Wikipedia article on Doc Savage. His real name, Clark Savage Jr. He's a doctor, scientist, adventurer, detective, and polymath who rights wrongs and punishes evildoers. So he appeared originally in 1933.
Okay.
And so yeah, he's kind of Batman before Batman.
Do me a favor. Contextualize this with Conan. When was Conan's writer doing his thing, or when did he stop? Rather.
Okay, hold on. Robert, I gotta remember because I don't have the notes in front of me anymore. Howard died. Howard died in 36. So in 33, Howard was still publishing. He was still printing Conan and all that stuff at that time. So
as well as Solomon Kane and that one guy who's a sailor.
Sailor Bob Costigan.
Costigan, yeah. It just feels like those inhabit a similar place in people's minds.
They very much do.
Okay.
They very much do. But the important thing about Doc Savage as a character in the Zeitgeist is that Conan and all of Howard's pulp figures were good at a couple of things.
Whereas right? Doc Savage is good at all the things.
Doc Savage is good at everything. He's a genius level scientist and, master violinist, like whatever skill he needed to have. Reading it as a modern reader, reading it now, it feels campy, even though it wasn't intended to be when it was written.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever skill he needs to have, it just happens he knows how to do that. And the language in the stories is this wonderfully superlative kind of stuff. At one point, the author refers to Doc's hand floating with lightning speed.
Okay.
Floating is not something I normally associate with lightning speed, but when you say floating with lightning speed, there is a very clear understanding of what exactly it is you're getting. There is this incredible speed, but also this fluidity, and so that's kind of the way I encapsulate my description of Doc Savage as a character.
Sure.
And so Doc Savage was an influence. Those stories were clearly an influence on Bob Kane, and Bill Finger, and I'm going to get into that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But those stories were an influence, and the design of the character very clearly influenced by Zorro, the Count of Monte Cristo, the idea of a secret identity, or the Scarlet Pimpernel, idea of a secret identity, dual identity kind of thing.
Well, and early on in the mythos of Batman, Zorro was the movie that he insisted on his parents going to, right?
Yes, yeah. Correct.
So.
Which for the authors was not an in-joke. It was kind of a meta statement by the authors.
Mm-hmm.
That, hey, here we are mentioning one of our references kind of thing.
Right.
And so, yeah. So Siegel and Schuster came up with Superman in 1938.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman gave DC Comics, who... somewhere I have the name of the company before it was DC Comics written down, but they became DC. Made them a ton of money.
Right.
Like just Superman took off, and the heads of the company went to all their editors and all their writers and all their artists and went, "Give us more of this.
Right. We
need like clearly there is some kind of hunger out there in the public. Give us this."
Mm-hmm.
And So Batman shows up in the pages of Detective Comics in issue 27, May 1939. Now, because this is the podcast that it is, let me tell you a little bit about what was going on in New York that year. LaGuardia Airport started operations.
Oh.
The World's Fair opened in April.
World's Fair
New York,
where?
New York World's Fair.
New York World's Fair. Okay.
New York World's Fair, 1939. Opened in April. I'm going to come back to this in a minute.
Okay. By the way, the comic book company, it was National Allied Publications.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I knew it was National something, but I couldn't remember how the rest of it went. Lou Gehrig retired from professional baseball in June.
Yep.
Due to ALS. Television broadcasts began in the United States for the first time, 39. And this is important too, for the same reason as the World's Fair, the first World Science Fiction Convention was held that year in New York.
Nice.
This is WorldCon. Now, I don't know, you're not a literary sci-fi nerd the way I am, but have you heard of the Hugo Award?
Yes.
Okay. There's been, of course, a lot of controversy attached to the Hugo Award in the last few years because of right-wing versus left-wing politics and right-wingers thinking they're victimized and all kinds of bullshit associated with that. But the Hugo Awards are one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, literary science fiction award in the genre. Okay, they're one of the most prestigious awards, and they are given out every year at WorldCon. And so 1939 is the first meeting of this convention.
Oh wow.
Okay. Now, on a national context, in 1939, the U.S. was climbing its way out of the Great Depression.
Yep.
There was movement going on with the Neutrality Act because of stuff that was going on in the rest of the world in Europe. Prohibition had ended only 6 years before. Now, New York, where all of these comics are being published at this point, was the epicenter of the Depression. Sense. Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me back it up. You said LaGuardia Airport started up. Was it called LaGuardia at the time? Because I'm pretty sure he was the mayor right around that time.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Let me check.
Anyway, go to your thing. I can look up whether or not LaGuardia was.
Look it up.
Yeah.
I'd
love it if they did name it after him. I'd love it if they named it after him and they're like, "Hey, we named an airport after you." He's like, really? Which one? LaGuardia.
LaGuardia. Yeah. Idlewild, of course, then years later, got renamed as JFK International.
Oh.
So anyway, let's see, where was I? So Prohibition had just ended 6 years before. New York was where the stock market crash actually happened. So, in a big way, it was kind of the epicenter of the Depression because of that, and because it was the largest city in the United States at the time. And Prohibition had led to the very rapid and very violent growth of organized crime, especially the mafia in New York and Chicago. Bootlegging and the operation and protection of speakeasies made fortunes for organized crime syndicates. And the Italian mafia fought against Irish and Jewish gangs in parallel wars. It was different mafia families, but in New York, in Chicago, and in other major cities all over the country. But New York and Chicago are the most well-known ones.
Right.
And in New York specifically, this wound up leading to the foundation of the Five Families, and eventually to Lucky Luciano establishing the Commission in 1931 to solve disputes between families. And essentially this set up each family in a given city as basically independent, although New York was shared territory of the Five Families. Now, the reason I bring all this up is because there is this confluence of World's Fair and television broadcasts and WorldCon. Science fiction is beginning to, I can't say become mainstream, but it's becoming a bigger part of the media landscape. On the radio, you have Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon
too, right?
The Shadow. And so the World's Fair is, as always, every World's Fair is this, very optimistic, very upbeat. Hey, look what's coming in the future. Look at how wonderful the future is going to be. High tech whiz bang, advancements. And so that's going on at the same time as New Yorkers are watching as they see their police department, their city government, their state government being suborned and corrupted by these criminal enterprises.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit there.
Okay.
The police department of New York was historically corrupt. This was just the newer boss. Like, I mean, if it hadn't been historically corrupt, then Teddy Roosevelt wouldn't have made his bones decorruptifying it as much as he did. And prior to him, Chester Arthur. Like, that was a thing. So, and police departments all over had historically been really goddamn corrupt. I can think of Boston especially, but Chicago, New York, pretty much every major, fucking San Francisco, L.A., oh my lord, like they were historically corrupt. So it's the gangsters doing gangster shit. It changed the scale of money involved and maybe the scale of brutality on some levels, but for the most part, they were always that way. So,
all right. Well, the point. Okay, I see your argument.
Mm-hmm.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's not, in this case, it's not just at this point, it's not just the police department.
Okay.
And at this point, it's not just politicians and business interests. It is politicians and criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And it is criminals committing murders in the street in broad daylight and getting away with it because they have the money to bribe people, and anybody they can't bribe, they can intimidate or get away with killing.
Do you think that some of this is also that it's spilling over into white neighborhoods now? Like previously it had been kept, the brutality, the killing people without any recrimination whatsoever.
I think during Prohibition, during the actual gang wars, I think so. By the time I'm talking about this, the worst of that violence has been curbed. By 39, the worst of that overt violence has been curbed, but it's still in the popular imagination.
Okay.
And there is still this feeling like there is this class of people who are above the law, either because they have all the money or because they have lots of money and they are violent and willing to push other people around, one way or another,
and they're not wasps.
There's this.
I think that matters. I think the fact that they're not wasps absolutely matters at that point too. Identifying them because they are considered the criminal classes. Like there was an effort in New York specifically to call out I forget the words that they used, but it was something along the lines of like the criminal races, and it was essentially Irish, Italian, Jewish. All three of whom you just mentioned were, they were kind of marginalized, and therefore this is how the entrepreneurial spirit asserts itself. It just,
when it's stymied in every legitimate business interest,
right? But
that's where you go, or you become a cop.
Yes, actually, you can't do anything else. Exactly.
So, why is it called a paddy wagon? Is it because the people in it or the people driving it?
Why not both? But
Porque no los dos.
But I would say that this group of people is easily identified because they are other than WASP. I think that matters. That identity matters.
To an extent, I think you're right. I think so. For the purposes of Batman's birth. Sure. I think that's kind of background noise.
Okay.
More. Well, I mean, all of this is background noise, but that is covert rather than overt.
Okay. I think it's coding. I would agree with you that it's coding because I'm looking at like Batman's origin, old money.
Yeah.
So wasps being wasps.
Yeah. First name being Bruce, which Bill Finger specifically states that he got Bruce from Robert the Bruce.
Oh no shit.
Oh yeah, aye lad, he got it from Robert. Yes, it's a good Scottish name, which is actually really funny if you know anything about who the criminal classes were in Revolutionary America.
Yeah. Robert's Rangers.
He has. There was actually a clause removed from the Declaration of Independence in which it was a complaint about he has sent amongst us a great number of Scots.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
I love it
because they were the Irish of their time. They were redneck. I mean, because they were Highlanders. We're not talking about. We're not talking about tame lowland Scots like my people. No, we're talking about Highlanders who had lost at Culloden, who were all being either executed or shipped out to the colonies.
Right, indentured servants to start.
Many of them. And the very first thing most of them did was take the broadsword that they used at Culloden and head out to the frontier.
Mm-hmm.
Where a great many of them fought the Native Americans, and a great many of them kind of simultaneously, went native in some ways.
Yeah.
And so they were to the English and Welsh and Dutch, who were nice prosperous city dwellers in the Northeast. These guys were literally howling barbarians.
Sure.
So anyway, Bruce Wayne. So got his name from Robert the Bruce, and I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, but a Revolutionary War general, Mad somebody Wayne.
Oh wow!
And so that's very very wasp, very DAR,
wasp. Yeah,
very DAR.
Oh yeah.
And so I hadn't made that connection, but you're right. So so they needed to create DC National, whoever it was, publications said, give us more superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And in this environment, Bob Kane came up with an idea.
Okay.
And actually, let me talk a little bit more about the background first. I'm getting ahead of myself. Mm-hmm. So, remember that Capone didn't go away for multiple murder.
No,
Capone didn't go away. Capone didn't go away for bootlegging. Capone didn't actually go away for any of the
horrible shit that he did.
Blue collar horrible shit that he did. What he got convicted on was tax fraud. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he was emblematic of this element of society that was getting away with this stuff and were above the law.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so that's floating around in the popular imagination as Kane sat down.
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you. You're going to like this story. When I was first working as a teacher, I worked for a charter school, which means they are not beholden to unions or most decency. So I worked for them under Kevin Johnson, who basketball player who became who made himself the head of essentially a high school district where he had access to barely of age or not quite of age girls. And there's that happened. But also he then became mayor of Sacramento because the public is an ass. Stuff. Yeah. So
pretty much
one of my bosses, who is now a superintendent in a different district, he said one day, because I said, well, wait a minute, like this doesn't make sense. Why are we spending all our time on data? And he said, well, Damian, you're a history teacher. What did they lock up Al Capone for? And I said, well, tax evasion. He said, right. I said, so your business model here is that we have to make sure. I think you're taking the wrong lessons here. But it was like, it was a legitimate argument. I'm like, you realize what side of things you're on, right? Right? And he never really responded to that. And clearly he did know what side he was on.
Is this the same one who was really adamant about department meetings starting on time?
No, this is the one who,
because you mentioned that you worked for one time who, as a social studies teacher, you were like, you're making a really big deal about things running on time.
Yeah. No, that was somebody while I was union protected. This is the guy who did threaten to fire somebody who had the flu because he was out for too many days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that guy's running a district now.
Yes.
Fuck me.
Oh, he used to like disenroll kids right before testing and then re-enroll them after.
Well, because, the charter, you couldn't get away with that shit.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah. So when he brought up, like, hey, they caught Al Capone because of tax evasion, I'm like, yeah. Okay, yeah, you're showing your ass. Like,
that's an odd analogy to choose right here.
Yeah.
And
it's scarily on brand.
I'm a little concerned. Not gonna lie. That bothers me on a very deep moral level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Wow. Okay. So now we got to talk about actual Batman. So we have this world where in the popular imagination we are in a world that both the futurists and the futurians are exalting, forward progress and what we're going to do with scientific technology and what we're going to do with the future and all this wonderful stuff that's going to happen.
Sure.
We're on the cusp of this technological leap out of kind of the early industrial age into the very, very beginnings of the jet age and the atomic age, right? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, in any urban area in the United States, we have this situation where the authorities are corrupt. The criminals who in the popular imagination are at the center of that corruption are largely untouchable or unreachable. And in that kind of mixture of ideas, Bob Kane sits down to his drawing desk in 1939 because his bosses at National Comics Publications said, we want more stuff like the Superman guy. And Bob Kane came up with an idea. He called Batman, who was a rope-swinging crime fighter in a red and black outfit with a set of stiff Leonardo da Vinci-inspired wings on his back and a domino mask on his face. Also, in the earliest color tests, he was a blonde. But anyway, domino mask on his face. And he looked at this and said, okay, so I got this character design, but I don't have much of anything else because I'm an artist, not a writer.
Right.
And he asked Bill Finger to come by, take a look at the idea, and help him flesh it out. Finger listened to the pitch and made a series of suggestions. All right, so red is too bright. Switch it to gray to make it more menacing. Make it a cowl, not a domino. Leave his eyes as slits. To increase the mystery level. And those wings, I get what you're trying to do with those wings, but those are going to get in the way. They're going to really get in the way in a fist fight, and they're going to be really awkward. So tell you what, Superman is what our bosses want. So let's just go with a cape and maybe scallop the edge so that when he's leaping, it looks like bat wings.
Okay.
So they then turned around, pitched that idea to the editors, and in Detective Comics number 27 in May of 1939, The Case of the Chemical Syndicate got published. The very first Batman story.
Okay.
It's not much of a story. It's very simple because, of course, Detective Comics, like most comics at the time, were anthologies with multiple stories in them.
Yeah, you get 12 pages or so. Yeah. I mean, that was the first Superman too. It was like 13 pages in an anthology. Action
comics in that case. So, so true to its publication title, the Batman is more sleuth than fist fighter. I mean, he does wind up fighting a bunch of guys, but what gets played up more is his deductive ability. He is the world's greatest detective.
Sure.
And it also establishes the idea of Bruce Wayne and Batman, the whole alter ego thing, as a twist at the end of the story. The Commissioner Gordon's feckless socialite friend was the Batman all along.
Sure.
Because at the beginning of the story, Commissioner Gordon shows up to the scene of a murder. Industrialist has been stabbed, and he's for whatever reason, he was going to lunch with socialite Bruce Wayne, who's his buddy. And Bruce Wayne is there at the scene of the crime, kind of standing in the background, and making a big deal out of we're gonna miss our tea time, or whatever, our reservation. And then they head out, and then the next thing we see is this cowled figure, the Batman, showing up and going over the scene later. And so at the very end of the story, we see that Bruce Wayne has been the Batman. And so that's
twist.
it.
Yeah.
Now the other thing I want to point out about this story is this is the origin of the character. The very first story that he's in, origin in a folklore sense, not canon sense.
Right.
But the bad guys in this story are a corrupt businessman and a group of hitmen. Okay.
Well, I would, again, interestingly, Bruce Wayne is a known rich guy, and he's hanging out with a police commissioner.
Known rich guy.
Yeah. And he's hanging out with the police commissioner. So you have the police that, have the backing of the state, but everybody also knows that they're kind of corrupt, hanging out with known rich people, but it's the right kind of rich people. Okay. So, but yes, so the first bad guy he runs into is, as you said.
It's not a clown, not a street mugger,
right?
Not a compulsive riddle teller, not an eco-terrorist.
Not a clown.
Not a clown. Not a clown. Nobody with some mental compulsion, not an eco-terrorist, but a run-of-the-mill sociopathic corporate executive with access to professional killers.
Right.
Max Shrek. Basically a mastermind whose sole extraordinary ability is wealth enough to hire professional killers to get away with murder, being brought to justice by a dogged, terrifying avenger because the police couldn't catch him.
So you have a through line of police incompetence here, which and it's not necessarily even overt, but I am going to be very interested what happens after the CCA comes in.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So in the statement, and I want to pause right there and essentially state my thesis here.
All right, go for it.
The origin of the character, because I know, partly because I'm the token moderate of the two of us, and you're the comparatively flaming commie.
Right. Well, what a world we live in where I'm considered far left.
Oh my God. Well, you're farther left than I am.
Yeah,
for the purposes of this podcast.
Sure,
you're
I get
leftist. It. You're not, But I know, because we've had kind of versions of this conversation before, and I know what commentary looks like on the interwebs. It is a meaningful. I'm not going to take anything away from the interpretation. It is, but it is a common nowadays interpretation of the character and critique of the character of Batman, that he is a rich guy who goes out and beats up poor people.
Yeah, I've got 20 minutes on this.
Yeah, well, who are committing crimes because the system is corrupt in a way that prevents them from being able to make a living any other way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I want to point out is that is not wrong. And certainly as we get into when you start talking about the movies, we can go forever.
Oh yeah.
About wow, how fashy is this? And I may push back a little, but like not a lot.
I
'cause there's
actually
not a whole-
don't dive into it very much until you get to the Nolan Batman.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There are bigger game afoot.
Okay.
Prior
Right.
to that, yeah.
Okay. Well, and we're in the era of post Nolan Batman, so
Yes,
that's
we
kind
are.
of where I'm coming from. But at the very outset of the character, he's being written by a couple of comic book writers in New York in the 30s, and we've already talked about who were these guys doing this writing. They were anti-Nazi, in 42, Batman, fights Hitler along with every other, costume superhero in the United States, it seems.
Did anybody not realize that like this kind of makes Hitler stronger than all the superheroes combined? Because one-on-one, he walks out of every fight and keeps Naziing. Like, even though he gets punched, he's Chumbawamba Hitler. Like,
I'll get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna pooch me down. I get knocked down.
Hier ist
but I
a
get up
lager
again.
drink. Hier ist a whiskey drink.
Whiskey drink. Yeah,
Ja, das ist un cider drink.
I get pushed down. So, that's actually true. And interestingly, there's a point that actually brings up about the Joker later on.
Oh yeah.
But when
I remember that.
when I get
That's
to
fun.
when I get to the introduction of the Joker, well, oh no, I'm not even. Now I realize what you think I'm talking about. But no, I haven't even.
Okay.
Like, before we started recording, folks, I told Damian that like I've gotten notes like out the wazoo up until like 1943. but there's so much comic book history and so much lore going on that like this week I've been grading and I haven't had enough time to like dedicate to really doing this justice. So, but no, what you're talking about doesn't happen until the 70s or the 80s.
Oh
no.
yeah, I think it was a 90s crossover actually.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. But what it was 90s. Yeah. It wasn't the Amalgam universe, but anyway, no, what I'm talking about is what Finger did not want the Joker to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into why. But it's for the same reason you're saying, like, well, this kind of means that Hitler is stronger than all of them.
Right.
So, but the impetus that drove the creation of the character was wish fulfillment of what I wish rich guys looked like. That Bruce Wayne and Batman are a wish fulfillment daydream of what we wish rich people were more like. Because yes, Batman is motivated by a trauma in his past, but in the beginning of the comic, he's not the obsessive that he has since become. He kind of got Flanderized over the course of decades.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the outset, he was, passionate. His driving passion was the fight against criminals, not necessarily crime, but against people who were victimizing other people.
Sure.
And
Small time hoods.
and well, most of them are gang leaders.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
He's not, because he's not. We don't start seeing him beating up street muggers as on the regular until the 70s.
Oh, okay. So when you said criminals, not crime, you meant like not the systemic problem that creates it. He's fighting the organizations that are it.
Yes.
Okay.
He is fighting. He's fighting the masterminds, the ringleaders, and the people who have put themselves above the law through a combination of amorality or immorality and wealth, basically. And it was essentially, it's kind of what if there was a rich guy who was trying to fight all the bad rich guys?
Okay.
And that turns into something problematic pretty rapidly if you're not, careful with it. But I think it is. I think it's very easy for us to look at it and to engage in presentism with what the character is now.
Sure.
When we're talking about when we're talking about a character that now has, 80 years of history behind him, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
So,
I think judging things based in the time that they're in is probably the safest bet in some ways, and honestly the most intellectually honest approach. Doesn't mean we can't hold out our judgment of it now and go, okay, but that doesn't fit anymore. But
totally. I'm not trying to obviate, like I said. I mean, the critique and deconstruction and everything that does point up the kind of, he is a rich guy who beats up the mentally ill. Like, can we talk about this for a minute? Like, that I get that.
A worthy discussion to have.
But
once we actually realize what mental illness is.
Yes.
Like, prior to that, we didn't have the vocab for it. It's one of those things of just like, you have to accept that we were flawed in a way that we didn't even know we were flawed yet.
It was the water people were swimming in.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna say that's for the dominant culture, not necessarily for the everybody on the margins, pushed to the margins. Because again, I'm gonna keep pushing back. He is the right kind of white rich guy fighting against the wrong kinds of white rich guys. There is a layer to that because he's in many ways blurring that, that violence thing. Yeah, he doesn't kill people, except that doesn't come around till later too. And I'm sure you'll deal with that.
I'm gonna get into that. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, so. But like he is doing what they do. It's just we cheer him because he's a wasp.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, by the way, I found out it was Anthony Wayne is the guy that he was named after.
Ah, yes, Mad Anthony
Wayne. So I've got a fun guy to look up later.
I briefly, he's a fun figure. Not quite as much fun as Mad Jack Churchill, but pretty close.
What a bunch of names. Who was the German dude that like showed up on a sleigh with his lover to help train the American troops?
Oh shit, von Steuben.
God, what a great
Steuben. It was either Steuben or von Steuben, and it turns out he like a massive amount of his backstory was just complete bullshit. It's not Steuben, it's Steuben. He was a sergeant. He was a non-commissioned officer in whichever part of Germany it was he was from. And he just lied. He showed up and said, "Oh yeah, I'm a nobleman," in German, of course, which is being translated to Washington and all them. But as a sergeant major or whatever his actual rank had been, he knew enough about the manual of arms and about drill and about training guys that it didn't matter. He knew his shit.
Right.
It was just in order to get, a bunch of Virginian landowners to fucking listen to him, he had to claim to be an aristocrat. So, it's amazing. So the Continental Army was trained in large part by a con man.
The Continental Army.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's great.
So I think we're at a point where we can kind of cut this off and pick it up.
Yeah, we've definitely set the stage.
I have a shit ton of other stuff to talk about here, and of course we can unpack all of this forever.
Yes.
But what is, with the little bit of Batman that we got into after we finished bitching about work, what is your takeaway so far?
Well, I do like that it wasn't just he was always a fascist fanboy dreamboat. I like that he was, he was somebody who, I'm going to say liberal. I think he was, a liberal's dream because most artists at that time were. But I also think it's interesting that he was, maybe not deliberately, but most certainly pulling on the strings of prejudice even from the very beginning. And I didn't realize that until we got to discussing this today, because I keep coming back to he's going after the Irish and the Italians. He's not going after the Jews, probably for the same reason that like only bad guys go after Jews in the 1930s and 40s. So he's not going after Jewish gangsters because they're actually on the side of right, beating up on Nazis. But and again, a lot of your, was it Siegel? He was of Jewish extraction. And I meant the writer. Simon,
Siegel, Siegel and Schuster.
Yeah. And so you know you've got a lot of it's interesting because a lot of your comic book writers are immigrants or they're first generation born here of immigrant families.
Yeah.
And yet they're still, you got to eat, so they're playing to certain stereotypes. And Italians are a real easy one to do because their names are so readily identifiable in a bubble of text.
Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I when I was doing my research, because what I'm going to do is when you're done with all the comics, I'm going to go through all the movies. And when I was doing my research, I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's beating up a lot of Italians. But it really is.
Well, okay. So okay. As far as we can get into it when we talk about the movies.
Sure.
Never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. I'll drop it for now.
So, but yes. So even though he was doing good things, he was doing it in a petri dish where the very auger that you were seeing him grow from was really fucking racist.
Yeah. That works.
So that's what I got from it.
Okay.
What are you recommending we read?
What am I recommending you read? I'm reading A History of the Flying Tigers right now.
Okay.
And I believe that's actually the title. I got the book here in front of me. Hold on.
Sure.
Yeah, it is The Flying Tigers by Sam Kleiner. It is a really great read. It's very kinetic. Kind of it moves along at a pretty good pace. It's a fascinating story, and it starts out with the life up until he headed to China of Claire Chenault, who was the founder of the Flying Tigers. And I have been a fanboy for them, the legend of the Flying Tigers, since I was a kid. And I'm learning an awful lot about Claire Chenault that I had not known.
Cool.
And he's an even more amazing figure now that I know all of this. So it's a great read. I highly recommend it. Nice. What about you?
Well, since we're doing Batman, I'm going to recommend that you go out, you find the equivalent of DC Unlimited, whatever it is, and you find Batman: A Death in the Family.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the one I'm gonna. It's only four issues long, and it's some dark shit. So.
Not cool, dude.
Yeah.
Not cool. Yeah, that's 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 88. It was 88.
88.
Yeah.
Well, pre-90. Yeah, just on the cusp. That was kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're evil. You are unkind, sir.
Well, yeah. All right. So, where can people find you on the social medias?
If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on both Twitter and TikTok as EH Blaylock. And you can find me on Instagram as Mr. Blaylock. And Blaylock is spelled BLAYLOCK. And you can find the two of us if you want to argue with either one of us about our either moderate liberal or leaning leftist interpretations of this character. First of all, you're wrong. And second of all, you can argue with us about it at Geek History Time on the Twitter machine. And how about, where can they find you, sir?
Well, you can find me at Da Harmony. That's two H's in the middle, on both the Insta and the Twitter. And you can find me every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/Capital Puns, making all kinds of puns for more than 4 years now. And we've played pretty much people from all over the world, and continues to just be a wonderful show. But yeah, if you want to fight with me and argue with me over my interpretation of Batman and how incredibly racist it is in the beginning even, feel free to find me on the Twitter and the Insta. So, all right. Well, for Geek History Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
And I'm Ed Blaylock, and look for us again. Same Geek Time, same Geek Channel.